everyone, today I'll be reviewing Sex Life Just Back with season 2. In my last review, so many people told me this show they did not like because overall this show is such a bad written show, and the center character Billy, she's so unlikable. She is a fairy tale unlikable character in season 1 and 2, and here this show was one of the huge hit on Netflix. Obviously they want to make season 2. Now that season 2 is here, I do imagine the show will be once again it will be hit again because the subject matter for this show, it does attract audience. That means that what do I think about season 2? I couldn't believe it. The way Billy's character wrote in this season, like honestly, the show starts with the fairy tale life she has, where the single mom with this little 2 young kid, she's going out and getting involved with a brand new guy, and I was like, are you kidding me, show? This is ridiculous. When you think the show will do something different, and here she was in a fairy tale New York City life where she's studying, she has this fancy boyfriend, she has her ex-boyfriend and ex-husband, everybody is hanging around. This is like a end of the show. You really hate Billy, although you really hate her in season 1 in the first place, because like this woman who is, if this writer, they didn't write her like happily married with 2 little kid. I think a lot of audience, like as the audience, you would not feel so bad because she's married and she had this happily married life, and she just ruins it for this guy named Brad. Although in season 2, like in season 1, they left with this cliffhanger, looked like she will go back to him. But she does go back to Brad, and we see he actually is dating this woman, and she is 6 months pregnant. And of course, Brad, he can't be with Billy anymore, and that is the twist for this season. And then same episode, she goes out with this guy named Majid in this show, and when the minute she go out with this guy Majid, I was like, although he was really sweet in this show, I was like, this will not work out, because isn't it that is the reason you left your husband, because you still love Brad? And I'm like, I don't get this writing at all. That is, this show, it is very awkward watching this middle-aged woman. She grew through all this thing, and then again halfway this show, again she brings up her like marriage. Oh, we've been married too long, like she do all this cry. This season it isn't what you think. There's a lot of cry scene, and I see what was the writer they're trying to do in this season, because they got a lot of criticized for Billy to doing all this thing because she's married and all this thing. So this season they try to explain to audience what was she doing is nothing wrong with it. There is nothing to be shame about. And I'm like, which is, there couldn't be nothing to be shame about or the Billy's behavior, because the only reason people are shaming her because she was married and she has little children, and that is the biggest reason like people are mad at her. They try to explain her character. That means that toward the last like a few episodes, she tried to move on, and she tried to get together with her kids and everything. The way this season starts, I was like, really, it felt like you were watching a fairy tale fantasy world where this woman with this, like, they don't show you the kids because this really take away the fantasy. So the writer, they actually keep away her kids. Like, her kids are in a different city. She's in different city and in a fairy tale world where she doesn't need to look after her little children. And I'm like, I was really laughing the way the writer wrote. Yeah, this show, it is like, I do imagine it will be hit. It isn't very well written, and the way it's end, you're like, I felt so bad for Cooper so many times. This guy, he didn't do anything wrong, and he got punishment. The minute Cooper comes on a screen, you just feel your heart like for him, because this guy is so good and nice. And although in this season they try to give Cooper a twist, like he tried to be a bad guy, and I was like, this is ridiculous. How stupid this show's writing is. That means, the new guy she was seeing, Majid, I was like, whoa. like it will not work out with him. But this guy is also from fairy tale. Like this guy, Majid, he's so fairy tale guy. He sees that she has a ex-boyfriend, husband, all this drama, and still he decides to stick around. Then the minute he meet her kids, he's like, oh, I can do this no more. And I'm like, we all along knew you can't do this anymore. I thought her friend character, however, what was her name? She was on, like, the first episode, her friend, whenever she was on screen, I was getting really annoyed by her because she was one of this annoying character. Like, she's, you know, the best friend. She's there to cheer her up and telling her to go out, find a guy. And I was like, no, she doesn't need to go out and find a guy. She just got dumped by Brad. But anyway, so I was getting really annoyed by her friend, but that's how her character was written. But that is, yeah, her story arc overall, the season, the way it starts and how it ends, it was quite interesting, I will say, although I was really mad at her. But, you know, she tried to be this independent woman, then end up she's going back to the guy. How her relationship with back and forth with this guy she was seeing in college, and everything didn't work out back then. And they tried to make it work this time. Her story was quite well written because I think Netflix, they feel like, whoa, they cannot screw up this black woman, her story. So they wrote her very, like, her story was quite compelling as it goes on. Although she does go through a lot of phase in this show. But every time, for some reason, this lady, although her character arc is good, I don't know, the way she acted with the Billy was really ridiculous. That is what I'm gonna say about her. That is her job, I guess, in this show, to be cheerleader for Billy. Go ahead, do all this crazy thing. But I guess I also like her grandma's character. She was very cool too. This overall, her character storyline, I will say, it was interesting, you know. At the end, what was she saying? I'm really sorry, I forgot her name. She was saying, you know, I have achieved everything. Now I can go and get the guy of my dream. I like that, her storyline. I guess the only thing about this show is, even overall, after watching this, you really hate Billy. You cannot stop wondering that how she ruined 3 guys' life, especially Cooper's, and Brad was yeah, although Brad looked amazing because that's how Adam Damos his job is to look good in this show. That is why he got this job, just to look good and smile and be nice. You know, all this fairy tale life guy, like, you know, these guys are really, it felt like when you watch them, it's from fantasy world that the writer wrote it for all the women out there. I just hope all these women, they don't believe this guy exists in real life. That is what I'm saying about this show. And that was my thought on this. Let me know in the comment, what do you think about this show? If you enjoyed about this review, don't forget my other reviews on other Netflix show. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. Until I see you next time, please take care.